Today is a Sunday night, November 6th, 2022, and I'm currently living around Baguio City, Philippines. I've traveled around the area for quite a bit. I've traveled around Benguet, Ifugao, La Union. I haven't really explored much of La Union, but I've been to enough places in Benguet to get a feel for what the culture is like, and I'd like to talk about some things that I've learned in regards to my small adventures I've had here and there in geography and also culture. So, for me, someone who was constantly moving when I was younger, I could not really identify with the people who were born in like the same town or city and they grew up there all their lives into their young adulthood. For myself, I was constantly moving around and I was an immigrant. I was an immigrant child at that. So, uh, though, of course, as time went on, my parents, thankfully, they were able to give us dual citizenship, which I really appreciate. And so that means that I was able to come here and live in the Philippines. And so I've been living in the Philippines for several months now. Actually, it's past 1 year. I was supposed to make a I've been living in the Philippines for a year video, and here are some of my thoughts, but I haven't been able to make that. But I guess this is kind of part of it in some ways. And so when I see these people that have lived in the same area all their lives and they know everybody, they know their neighbors, or they go into town and they always see someone they know. And it's probably someone they've known since childhood, really, since elementary school days. It just boggles my mind that people can have that far of a connection way back in time, especially for someone who's moved a lot. I don't know if you can relate to this, but I think a lot of the immigrant children who constantly moved around with their parents, trying to find better jobs, better houses, better places to live in, can probably understand what I'm trying to say. And then the other thing is that the pace of life, time. There's a theory that time is, or not really a theory, but like time is relative in different places in the space-time continuum. If you're around a black hole, time operates different. If you're on Earth versus somewhere else, right? Gravity, blah blah blah. But when you go deep into the countryside of countries that are not as pressured to make money, such as the United States, time goes by quite slow. And sometimes you're in that area and you're living in that area and then you're trying to schedule things, plan things out. Hopefully things push through whatever you're coming in with a very American industrialized world mindset. Oh, we need to do this at this time. When is it gonna get done? Blah blah blah. But then the people around you, especially when you're deeper into the countryside or they're more remote areas, they don't. A lot of them don't think like that. A lot of them don't plan that far or that detailed because they're not as pressured to do so. And so, if you're coming from a very rush city area and you're trying to live your life that way and schedule things that way, if you're going to try to schedule things with other people who are in more of the countryside, you should not expect to change a culture or a town or a city overnight because you're only one person. And so that's one of the culture shocks I've learned. I learned that I am far more San Francisco Bay Arean. I am far more American than I thought I was. I was definitely coming from a different time zone, and many of them were existing here in the Philippines in a much slower time zone. And at some point, I was just getting confused and honestly frustrated. Like, hey, how come some of these things are not pushing through? How come some of these plans and things? But it's, when you're in a different country, it's a different country. It's a totally different set of people, culture, language, and also the time. The time just operates so differently. Things here are planned on like the week of, or the day before, or like the hour before, the minute on, or whatever. While things in the States, especially if you come from a very urbanized area like the San Francisco Bay Area, where life is extremely expensive, everything is planned way out, months in advance, and it seems like people here can get time off work quite easy. And there's not a lot of homeless people here in the Baguio City area. There might be a lot of homeless people probably in the National Capital Region or the Manila, Philippines region, but here in the Baguio City area, compared to San Francisco, and I worked for San Francisco, or I worked in San Francisco for a time, the ratio of homeless people, or the amount of homeless people in Baguio City area versus San Francisco. San Francisco is just a ton of homeless people, and in Baguio City, there's not that much homeless people when you compare it to places like San Francisco. And I think it goes back to the whole Filipino community thing, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, so anyways, I just wanted to put out some thoughts, Sunday night thoughts on my time. I've lived here in the Philippines as coming from an American Filipino viewpoint, or American Igorot viewpoint. And then if you don't know, Igorot translates to mountaineer. So I'm Filipino, though you have to understand that in the Philippines there's many different kinds of cultures. I come from the cold mountain culture, so I'm able to wear a jacket. And yeah. Oh, and in some places in the Cordillera Administrative Region, basically the mountainous northern places of the Philippines, sometimes they may be hot during the day, but then at night it could be quite cold enough for you to wear jackets. So that's also one of the things I appreciate. So yeah, so those are just some of the thoughts that I wanted to get out of my head or publish to the internet. Maybe that was useful to you, especially if you are considering staying in the Philippines for more than 2 weeks or something. So yeah. So time operates differently, the people operate differently, and remember, especially in the months of November, December, January, if you're in the northern Philippines in the mountainous area, it could be quite cold, so I suggest bringing a jacket. So that's all for this video. More videos to be posted in regards to what life here is like through a Filipino American perspective. If you're interested in seeing that, please consider subscribing to the John J Images YouTube channel, because for the year 2022, my focus, and this year's almost over, but my focus for the YouTube channel is to talk about life here in the Philippines through an American Igorot or American Filipino viewpoint. Thank you.